All right. Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Justin.
So you guys are my parents.
We are.
And it's been that way for 24 years recently.
Yeah,
So I'm told.
24 years and
9 months and
9 months. Yeah.
3 hours and 87 seconds. So we're going to start at the beginning, kind of work our way forward. So, of course, now you know I'm a musician. Been that way for been that way for a minute. So were there any signs early on that you had a musician on your hands?
The only thing we knew is like when you were even in the womb, you kicked on beats. Like you have like I don't know if you was having your own little drum session but when you start kicking, it was just like you was listening to your own music or something. I don't know.
Oh, so so it wasn't like on beat or whatever was playing like in the atmosphere. It was just like my own little
You
thing.
just start. It didn't have to be anything
Oh,
playing.
okay.
It was just like when some babies kick, and it's like a sporadic kick here and a sporadic kick there. But you would just be like, I'm just gonna pat, and it would be on beat,
And so okay, all right, and so and you guys didn't do anything like no, like headphones on the stomach or anything like that. Singing songs and
We were
hollering.
college students, Justin.
okay.
We were
That's
like
right. That's
reading
right.
books and doing homework
Trying to
and,
mind y'all business.
and checking homework for your siblings and
Yeah, there was music in the house.
Yeah,
Right.
like we were,
You know. There was music in the house, but not necessarily headphones on the stomach. But
no baby Einstein or nothing
No
like that.
EWF in the head. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So the legend has it, as I remember, is just out the womb and music it is. So I guess the interest was there. I guess we're like 1 to 4. So what was that from your perspective, like as the interest grew? I guess what was it from your perspective that kind of maybe intensified that, like I might be a musician, and like the music interest was, further developed?
I don't think we were raising a musician. I think we were just investing in the interest that we saw. Would you agree with that?
I said that. Yeah, I definitely saw. Yeah, interest and like I said, did do things like as a toddler, you were good for going to the cabinets and pulling out the pots and pans, and having something to bang on, and even early days elementary school, you went through scores and scores of pencils because you had to tap out a beat on the desk, and that'd probably be the only thing you get in trouble for at school because you had to have a beat, but it was something we saw. Okay, we know he likes this, but it was like I think we tried to expose you to a variety of things, but you definitely were looking for a rhythm or something like that.
And in church, you always wanted to
Oh, my
sit where
goodness.
you could see the musicians.
Yes.
You always we could not be in church and pay attention to church if you didn't sit in a particular place in the church where you could see the drummer. I don't know if it's the whole pit or just the drummer or anything like that, but the attraction was always like everybody could see the attraction from the beginning. Would you say? Yeah.
Pretty obvious. Okay. So we get into, I guess, 5 through 8, ages 5 through 8. I remember getting my first drum set. And I remember the call about piano lessons, which, I mean, at the time it was just like, well, with the piano thing, it was kind of like, I guess, like I wasn't necessarily opposed, but it's just like, I mean, why not? So I guess starting with like the drums, we get into the whole conversation on like equipment. and things like that. So was there any insight to like cost of, you know, equipment? Of course, there's a difference between, you know, getting a, you know, Walmart guitar versus going to the Guitar Center or whatever. But was there any sort of interest on like a ballpark of what, you know?
I guess inherently, probably like with any financial decision, you know, some, but definitely was looking at something probably low end. Like say, shout out to First Act, I
Right.
believe that was the
Big time.
drum. That was the drum, and it
Test
was
model.
just, you know, kind of seeing where you are, because with you being, you know, the youngest of four.
Right.
You know, we gone through, you know, your siblings have, you know, dabbled in band, you know, your mom had piano lessons, yeah, Jamie played the flute, you know, everybody goes through that. I want to do music, you know, so we weren't finna go and get a top of the line drum set, you
Right.
know, for somebody who next week is like, oh, I don't do that anymore, you know, so,
moved on.
but we'll get you something solid, so got you a starter kit to play on, and you went through that, and we would switch out the drum heads, and so once we kind of saw, oh, okay, you know, it was going somewhere, and when we just grew up from there, you know, as you show, you know, you sticking to it, and you're doing more things, it's like, you know, you go there, but yeah, we kind of just want to gradually build into, you know, what we do there.
Still play that kit, by the way.
What kid?
The First Act kit.
Really?
That the gig we did for his birthday, that was the First Act kit that Donnell played.
Wow. Not such a
That
bad
just-
investment.
That just recorded a track with that kid. Actually.
Wow.
There it is.
Wow.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Wow.
Yeah, right. You really surprised?
Same thing with the keyboard, like I say, got that. When you started the piano lessons, got like a Casio, 60-some keys, whatever it was, and it was like, okay, this, you know, let's see what you do with that. And then we,
Kind of branched out.
yeah.
And then you even said, is that the one you took your senior picture with?
No.
It's probably upgraded,
Nah.
way upgraded
We
from that.
many iterations.
Yeah,
by that time.
I didn't know. I was like, I just know that he doesn't love that picture because of the grade of keyboard that's in the
Yeah,
picture. He was
it's
like,
just-
that was so low budget.
Yeah, he
It was a great picture.
It's so multifaceted because I don't know. I don't even like with movies. I talk about all the time, like when they be having like the fake bands playing, and it just looks so fake, like nothing plugged in. You know,
Oh my gosh.
like drummers hitting over here and the sound is over here. I'm just like,
You're not gonna even try.
I don't like it. So clearly the drums had the first obvious interest, and where did the piano come from? The 'cause I mean, obviously I love it now, but at the time I wasn't really thinking about, you know, playing keys like that. So
Well, I think that's part of rearing children or training children. You know, the Bible says train up a child in the way that they should go. So, you know, like, as it goes, it's like if you learn the piano, you can learn any other instrument, right? So your Nana was just like, we got to get him an instrument. She said it like since you were like 3, like, we got to get him into piano. We got to get him into lessons. Have you found a teacher? Yeah, you got to get him into lessons, you know. So it was like at one point it was like you need to find a teacher by so and such time. So it's like,
Gotcha.
okay, so the dilemma was that you were so young. I think you were actually like 4 and a half, you know, closer to 5, but still on the 4 side. And the dilemma was a lot of teachers didn't take students that young because they didn't know the alphabet, and their hand span was not big enough to do the scales. So that was not your problem because you did know the alphabet and you were a 10-pound baby. So you were 4 looking probably like 6 or 7. So, you know, neither one of those things were a problem for us. And when you started taking lessons, you just jumped right in. Like you just, you never was a kid that gave a lot of pushback. You know, this is what we're doing. I never remember you like repeating lessons. I know when I took piano lessons, it's like I didn't practice all week. You know, you know, I always wanted somebody to sit with me and practice with me. You know, and you know, I was sent to practice my piano But I made it a point to sit with you. It was never any pushback. I never remember you repeating lessons or anything like that. And you just did it. You just learned it. And because I'm not a musician, I did not even understand the depth of what you were learning. Because I knew you were learning theory, but once you became a teenager and when you taught me about the chords and how you guys would shout out the numbers, I was like, this boy knows his stuff. Like, wow,
Yeah,
So that was really awesome to see that while we are not musicians, that God led us to the right people for you to have the right foundation to take you where He has for you to go. So.
I was gonna say, I thought it was interesting that you early on you challenged that first piano teacher that you had. I can't remember the lady's name.
I sure don't.
But she was the first, and she was, I guess it was more on the kind of classical track, and you were you wanted to play like kind of gospel, jazz, this, that, and that was outside of her forte. And so once you kind of got through things, she was like, she saw something in you, and she told us, you really had something, but the kind of music he wants to play, that's not my, not my thing. Back when we were in Virginia, and she was like, he, wants to do this gospel, and so probably she was the one who started talking about, looking at jazz and doing other things. And I think it was something she might have got some riffs, or she made some recommendations, but she actually thought that was interesting, that it was something that she saw enough talent in you to know you can be what you what you want, but I know I don't have it to give. And I think that's where I start seeing you pay more attention to what was happening at the church music, like that same focus you used to have on the drums did turn to the keyboardist, and wanting to see their hands and how are they making that sound and things of that nature. So with us, what you first saw, and with Greg Horton and and Cornerstone, when you were probably like 5-ish, 6, you just kind of looking. Now you're at St. Paul's, and you're trying to get with them and having the opportunity to be with their youth group, and now just kind of watching, observing, and being able to pick up, those other whatever riffs, chords, whatever you call it, But I thought that was interesting that you had the push to go for what you were seeking, And
I just think we have been fortunate to, God has just, no matter what state we lived in, that God has put what you needed in our path. Of course, we've always prayed over all of you guys, but to just be able to see it right in your face that, oh, we were going this way, but we've been diverted this way. And then, oh, this is why, So I think that God has just truly blessed you. And, it's always exciting to see, for me as a mom, what he's going to do yet. Because I know he's not done, although you're an adult and you've been formally trained and you've been formally educated in music, mentored and all, it's still more. There's still more. Yeah. So.
Cool. So we're gonna. So I kind of tell the story. So we, I guess we're in Virginia now. We're going through. We're going through, I guess, my elementary school years, and I think Christian's still in there with me. Jay's kind of middle school, high school, jumping around. We're at Faith Harvest, and you start to see. I know I can remember like starting off in the little bongo drums, and being the kid to I hope the drummer does show up today. So that's everybody go through that. Yeah. So
put me in, coach.
Right, and the whole recite like Christmas programs and recitals and all that. I can't say that I remember. It's definitely nowhere to the extent that I do now to like prepare for an event. But did you see any distinguishment between like prep time for like a lesson versus prep time for like Christmas programs and things like that, or recitals, anything like that, just to see, from your perspective, like I guess the at-home work it takes for like performances and things like that.
I think for me, because you were such a great student, I think for recitals, I think the pieces that you were given were pieces that you can handle, even if it was above what the class or other students were doing. I think the teachers already challenged you to work at the level that you could perform, and because you were always so diligent in practicing, when it was time for performance, you were always ready.
Okay.
Not that you were like, oh, I don't have to practice
Right.
because I already know this. You just consistently did behind the scenes what you always did behind the scenes. So I think that's what you see now. I think you never feel ready, but I'm going to keep working. This is my time to prepare for this, and you continue to put that behind the scenes work in. I know there's been a lot of times that I've tried to push you, past where you are, and he goes, no, I'm not ready for that yet, kind of thing, which I'm not a musician. I just know what I like. I like what I hear,
Right.
I'm like, and go, no, I'm not there yet, Mom, kind of thing. So I think you just are a good student. I think your humility and obedience, helps you be coachable. If you're not coachable, people don't invest,
Right.
time and energy and product in you. As far as church, no, I think every kid knew their part. Every kid wanted their shine, and it wasn't like, oh, we got to do this because it's Justin. It was just that was Justin's part, and Justin wanted to be ready for his shine. Now I know at Faith Harvest, make sure that we created programming where every kid could shine. So, and I think at Cornerstone, I think Mr. Horton was good at that too, creating some space for every child, and I think that was another one of our blessings.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I was just agreeing with that. I guess my elaboration would be, I never sensed that it was as much practice as you just did what you did. Some kids read, some kids, play ball, some kids play video games. You would get on your instrument and that just be what you do. And so you would just naturally put in the time. And I've shared with you before, I thought it was always interesting, you never had to be pushed to practice. A lot of times you take lessons and they say, okay, you need to play 20, 30 minutes, a day, go and make sure you go do your thing. And you would just be playing. So I never took it as practice. Sometimes it was like, stop playing. Not that it's bad, but hey, let's throw the football. Let's go play catch. Let's go ride bikes. Let's do other kid things, because I just always wanted you guys to have balance, Yeah. And so, don't get, over here in your musical hole and, can't ride a bike or can't throw a spiral, Let's get out here and make sure we're doing these things. But from the music standpoint, I guess the fact that it was, it remained to be a passion. It was never something we had to, hey, go study, go take care of. You got to play Sunday, so make sure you're gonna be playing anyway, and so you would just self-motivated, self-driven.
But I think you were a real well-rounded child.
Oh, definitely.
I think you definitely played hard. When you played, whatever you played hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was always like my fallback too, because I don't know. I was like cool with it, but in my head it was just like, if I don't make it, I'll just go back. I'll just be in the band room. But, it was just kind of like my thing, as well as the authentic hobby. So we fast forward. I guess it's pretty much all the same until we moved here.
Which I was gonna say move. Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything. I mean, still practice, still took lessons, still did band and the church and all that. It kind of didn't stop when we moved here, but I guess things kind of shifted. I guess we came here. I was like 12, and so that's when the jazz starts. That's when junior high starts. And now I'm like playing in church a little heavier. So in that whole like transition phase, what was that like for you guys? I guess as you know, you saw like the change in, because I didn't have a teacher anymore, so that's when I was doing a lot of YouTube and like setting the keyboard up by the computer and all that. So yeah,
Watching drum videos over watching drum line.
With those drum videos came early too, because I can remember at Faith Harvest, Christian McGill gave you drum videos, and you that's the self starter, and you would just watch those videos and move forward. A non-instrumental parent, it's like, oh well, he had lessons, he know that already, so I thought personally that once you got to music programming in school, that took the place of a private lesson or whatever, till I learned about Guitar Center and all the different lessons and outside lesson. I think I learned that with Christian actually, because he was doing trumpet, and he was struggling in trumpet, and it was like, well, maybe he needs some extra lessons, and that's where we started. That's when I found out about extra lessons. But when we moved here, as we researched where we wanted to live and where what schools we wanted you guys to go to, it was important to us that they had a great band program. But again, God being who He is, we wanted you to go to one school, and it just turned out where we end up living was a whole nother school that I fought hand and teeth about, but it was like, okay, here we go. Because I was very particular about not moving you guys too much, and this moves being strategic, at move time. So I didn't want you to be in the middle of, 7th grade and have to move to another school. We wanted you, like, if you're moving from middle school to high school, that'd be a good time to move, kind of thing. But like I said, God, that's when we met Mr. D. And I mean, that's when, to me, you had music, but then music had you then. That's when you start feeling the beat and feeling what you were doing. And maybe it was some things that you knew, but you might not have understood how they came together or something like that. But to me, that while the interest was still there, it was like, before then you were doing it because this is what you were taught to do. And then when you got to middle school, it was like, oh, and I can manipulate music, and I could do it like this, and I can move it like this. Oh, I'm free to do it. It was like a freedom. That's a good word. So that was exciting to us. That was I don't know, it was exciting to me. It was just awesome. And then it seemed like it was exciting to you too. So.
Yeah, I think that was good. I definitely believe Mr. Decatana, he unlocked something. I think in addition to just throwing you the standard, color by numbers thing, he was able to meet what you were trying to, that sound you, I guess, whatever you hear inside, whatever you're trying to achieve, he became, an avenue to get you there. What was it? A fake book? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, fake book, real books. Yeah,
and really tapping into that jazz portion, and and he knew the gospel licks and all that stuff too. And so somebody that would actually jam with you, and come back and show you, some fingerings or some things like that, and then just to see your eyes light up. And we looked up, and behold, so is Justin tapping his foot?
Yeah,
because I remember asking you, hey, do you like it? Because sometimes you would just be playing, and it sounds good, and everybody's clapping, and we tapping our feet, and you.
But what freed me from that is Brian.
Oh, Brian Lee.
Brian Lee. Brian Lee would play. Oh my God, the power of God would be all over everything, and he would just be sitting there like, that was
are we done yet?
Oh, this one, it was just like, no, you would just have to figure out what he was thinking, because there was no expression, no foot tapping, but it was going down, right? So I was like, oh, well, maybe, all musicians, one has nothing to do with the other, whether you tapping or swinging or swaying has nothing to do with your gifting, nothing to do with the Holy Spirit using you, and nothing to do with your ability. It's just your
What you
personality.
take, or, yeah.
So that freed me from that.
I think that you do better when something you passionate. I'm saying you put a lot of time. You don't see many, musicians, singers, anybody who's doing something and they're trying to be great. Usually, when you come off a performance, you don't hit the game winning shot and just walk off the court. You
Right.
don't, score touch. You don't sing this great song. We're like, all right, I sang. Put the mic in the keyboard. It's like you're gonna raise your hand, you're gonna sing, and you would do your thing and do it well, and then you stop. But it was so. I was just asking, like,
It's
are
still
you feeling
cool.
it?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm seeing, all this great stuff come out, and I was like, are you hearing what we hearing, or is it my untrained ear? Like, because I've talked to musicians, I've talked to vocalists, and sometimes because we don't know, we in the the untrained, uneducated, music, like, man, I wish I could sound like that. And you walk off as a son, like, I missed that whole note, or that was not, this. I was sharp when I was supposed to be flat. I was, up when I was supposed to be down, whatever. And so I was trying to see, am I thinking you jamming? And you up here like, I done missed every note on this measure, And so I was trying to get from you, help me understand, because I'm saying you put a lot of time in. And then when the spotlight is on, you're just like, all right, I played the song,
Next.
So to see that, man, when that jazz band kind of kick in, and now it's like, all right. And then, even when you play in the church, it's like, okay, you bite your lip, you bob your head, like, okay, and it was just, I think maybe you were just focused or whatever.
Definitely
but whatever.
focused, because it started as a timekeeping mechanism. Learn more about that later in college years, but he kind of taught us about like just keeping time that way. And I would definitely, like, hindsight being 2020, for sure, playing drums like Faith Harvest, I knew that's why Pastor Martha always like told me, don't do a whole lot of fills, to stay right in the pocket, because I have a huge tendency to rush. And I never did that before, and often, so he taught me that as, a way to keep time. That, went into my college years, and, reinforcing that. And then from then it did go into, other enjoyment, because you hear people that you like, of course, playing with Reggie and Yank and all them guys. It's just like, being next level. But then I just thought about it. I talked to other classical people, and, talking to them, like, because they don't really move like that. They might move as pianists, like you might move to get to a different, area on the piano, or, violinists, they might do some little things here and there, but they,
like that.
So I asked them, like, well, how y'all keep time? Because y'all don't necessarily rush, or drag. Like, I don't really hear a whole lot of classical people have timing issues, but they're not tapping their foot. They're not, and they were just like, I don't know. It's just,
It's a flow.
it's a thing. And I'm just like, well, why I be rushing something?
But you're not classical.
I'm not.
So
I'm not.
yeah.
I tried,
But in that period too, in addition to meeting Mr. Decatani,
Deep Pasquale.
Deep
Pasquale.
Deep Pasquale.
Deep Pasquale.
Uh-huh.
Pasquale. That
Mr.
time
D.
is a whole nother thing.
Mr. D. Also, God brought Albert Williams in our lives, and he was tremendous, I believe, and he really spoke life into your gift, and kind of guided us as to what to expect, which changed the way I prayed for you, because I was always vigilant about you not being used, because we've seen growing up all of our life how people just use you for what they want and then kick you to the curb,
Right.
so we were very protective of that, and just ungodly lifestyles, not having ungodly lifestyles live before you. So I was even thankful to God that the men, saved, God-fearing men that God put in your path, so you can learn how to walk uprightly as a musician. I always prayed about that. And then I think you were still in middle school when Brother Fred got there, middle school, high school. But those are people that God brought along, your path, that could continue to teach you in the way that we were trying to get to, because I always wanted you to be a gospel musician, and the path that we had to go was jazz, because there is no gospel musicianship training unless you learn from another gospel musician. So that was a tremendous, and I think all of those men put a lot of weight on you. They really put the pressure on for you, and you could always met the standard. You always met the standard.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy that, it was the craziest thing in the world when I found out that Brother Alvin and Tony D actually knew each other. And I was like, man, that's crazy. So they would, it would be various times where, like, they'd tell me, each person would be telling me something. They come and, hey, I talked to Albert, and, we going to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay,
So you had two teachers that were working
Yeah.
together on separate platforms
Some kind
to
of way.
build your musicianship. That's awesome.
And it was, I think Tony D actually got me started in, like, the gigging culture. Because I remember one time, usually kids, they feel that special day, we had the doctor's appointment during class. You come back and, when he took me out of school to go play a gig. And I was just like, yeah, I could do this. Can we do this next week? So, getting me started with that was cool too. So we get into high school, and so now I'm kind of taking more of like a MD role. That's kind of like Fred came in, and he, that you talk about pressure, that dude. Yeah. So as you see, like, it's not totally brand new to y'all, because, I did a lot of stuff growing up and singing in church and things like that. But what was it like seeing more of the, I guess you would say, leadership role? Like, I know at that time I started wanting to, show up earlier and, prep and set stuff up, and I'm bringing certain equipment home to either, prep or, fix stuff and bring it back, or, looking at getting equipment for the church and putting together, certain inventory list, or, whatever we may need. That aspect, getting into, the music life, was it, I guess, interesting to see what, other than like just playing, what other aspects go into, that, or was it, I don't know, what was that like for y'all?
I thought that was that was interesting, and I guess a little bit stressful. Just like you say, the extra demands on your time. Coming in early for the sound check and things like that. But I was definitely proud of you for stepping up to the plate, because sometimes when you give younger people responsibility, they aren't always, like I said, a lot of people like the stage and the shine, but they don't understand the preparation. It's like, yeah, I want to play, but I got to be at church at 6:30. I got to come in at, because you don't want to do all of the behind the scenes work to be ready for, what you quote unquote showtime.
Right.
But you never, backed up. You were pushing us. Hey, Dad, we got to get up. I got to be, there so and so, such and such a time, and we got to go. And say, what time they want you to be there? And it's like, okay, are you at the rehearsal? And it's like, rehearsal's here, and then we have a band rehearsal. After the choir finishes, then the band is gonna do something else. And so, again, still trying to make sure that you have the other, because these guys, they're done for the night. They're gonna go to work in the morning if they got other jobs, but you got homework, or you still got to clean the kitchen, or you got whatever is going on at home, and then trying to make sure you do it a decent time. But again, just giving you that freedom to manage your schedule, but saying, hey, you still got these requirements and responsibilities, and and just helping you navigate how you're gonna fit those things in. And you would do it, and that's what kind of made it for us something that, okay, this is workable. It takes a lot, because I always feel like if you're willing to push and put yourself out there, I don't want to be the person, mom doesn't want to be the person that holds you back from what you're trying to achieve, with the same thing. And, we, you know, our job as parents is obviously to, you know, support you, to guide you, you know, but we also want you to, you know, be able to spread your wings and trying to navigate what's that balance, what's doing enough and what's not enough and what's too much. You know, because if you take on being music director, you know, something like that, then trusting that, and okay, you know, what's the part that you manage in that, and what's the responsibilities you have to go along with that, and how does that fit into the rest of your life? Because that's going to happen, you know, in life. You know, you can't just pull out the piece that you like and negate everything else.
Right.
You know, you're a heck of a musician, but you know, you never comb your hair, you never brush your teeth, you never go to school. It's like that's not.
It's not it.
That's not the deal. You
Right.
know?
And I think it's also to your point, Howard, is to, you know, again, balance and being a whole person. Just because you have what Pastor Travis called a pretty gift or a stage gift also doesn't mean that's your only gift.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I think your dad and I tried to do was see what all your gifts were. And I think you probably heard it all the time growing up, that we know that your hands are blessed. So we know that anything you put your hands to is going to be great. And that was true as far as I could see. You know, you played basketball, you were a top scorer. Dad wanted you to play football. I wasn't willing to risk your hands for football. I was not willing. You know, you play drums, it's blessed. You play piano, it's blessed. When you write papers, you do well. When you you know, you learn the guitar, you know, you did well. So I don't, you know, now you at Amazon, and whether you could see it or not, you do well, you know, and people see you doing well. And it's this, and you are employing the same strategies, just in a different environment, right? So you are a good student, you're coachable, you're humble, and you're obedient, right? So you can take those skill sets, you know how to ask questions intelligently. You can take those skill sets anywhere you want to be, want to do. You have an idea, you know, music is creating, right? You have an idea and you move out on it. You test the idea before you publish the idea. So it's same place wherever you go. You got an idea how to stack these boxes. You know, okay, I'm going to test this theory to see how it works. Now I'm going to present it. You know, so it's the same skill sets. So when you moved into more of a leadership thing, still my same prayer that you are protected and not taken advantage of. God answered the prayers in the most amazing way, because we knew nothing about New Antioch. God had already started preparing you under Fred's leadership. You know, godly men still pulling you aside, coaching you in musicianship and in Christendom. And that's just as a man, you know. Brian Hunter was instrumental, and you know, probably why you wanted to learn how to play the guitar. But he got you started, you know, like, hey, I want to learn this. You know, everybody don't take time out to pour into people. So another blessing, another teacher, another mentor. And then at God's appointed time, here comes New Antioch. Tremendous responsibility for a teenager to be in a leadership role, and God, to me, the way I saw it, the way God laid it out, it's like, I can't remember exactly how they used to phrase it, like, you're gonna be in the front, but you're not the leader.
Right.
That if that was not giving you this playground, a fenced-in playground, basically, is what it was. And the love and support, you know, that New Antioch from beginning to today has poured, you know, into your life, our family, and God's still growing you. You know, God, you've been in charge of stuff, budgets and designs, and, you know, having to interact with leadership, you know, and, you know, you might be right, but how do you convey that thought in a respectful manner? Right. And when do you cut it off and lay it down and say, not my department, right? So those are, you know, those are tools that are transferable skills, number one. And those are lessons that God is giving you for something. I mean, you
Right.
using it, but look how early and how fast, because you are coachable, because you are trainable. You get the lesson, you go on to the next platform, glory to glory, right? So these are things, and I'm not saying that we knew all of this stuff when it was going through, but
Right.
as we look back now, because a lot of times we were just, we had our prayers and we were just like awed. I was anyway. I don't know about how. I can remember the first time you and Fred played.
Yeah.
What hymn was it?
Something like the blood, something.
The blood that gives me strength from day to day. Now I'm in communion, asking the Lord to wash me, cleanse me. I didn't even realize. I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention enough to. I mean, I knew y'all both were on an instrument, but I didn't. I just wasn't on music at that time, and I could remember. All of a sudden I was just getting all of these, and I'm like, what? That's your baby. That's your baby. And he was even training you, right then, like, and you were so obedient. Like if when he move, I move. I don't know if he said do what I do. I don't know what y'all conversation was, but I don't know if he was like
Our conversation was after.
Really, I guess I don't know if it's like if that's where he going. I guess that's where I'm going to. But again, when you have those willing vessels, you got someone who's ready to pour, and you have someone who wants to receive, and the Holy Spirit just comes in. And God moved in that service, and I don't care how many times we do it. That is a landmark, iconic version of that song. Those middle school years, you did a lot. You did a lot of growing. You did a lot of prepping. And again, you've had some leadership roles that some adults are just moving into. So I would say to you, despise not small beginnings. When you think you can't, look on what you have. Even not only what you have done, but how God works with you, know.
Right. So even in that time, I guess I'm gonna say late junior high school, the mid high school, because kind of late high school, college, of course I'm driving and kind of doing a little bit more on my own. But what was it? Describe the challenge of, I guess, the balance, because it was still, obviously, if we just, dissected that, like, I alone was involved in a lot, but y'all both still have jobs, there's other kids, it's, still got a house, and, of course, life happens, so you got car trouble, you got, other, thing, lawn care, and other, stuff to do. Y'all each have responsibilities in church, in addition to, the stuff I was doing, so during that time, what was that like for the two of you?
It was, I think you painted the picture where it was busy. It was busy. It was, chaotic, but we tried to not have it be that, for you all. Sometimes having to be at 2 or 3 places, on the same day, or at the same time, so relying on each other, kind of divide and conquer. You go to this game, I go to this concert, and we'll have another neighbor, a parent, friend, might have to take somebody else to, a soccer game or whatever. Right. That was it, just kind of working through our, our extended community, whether it be our family or, other friends, finding people to kind of support what was going on, and working on having that communication, with you and with other kids around. Okay, who's where, and that's one thing. Your mom was really a good organizer, planner, as far as having people's schedules lined up and who's got what on what day, and and knowing where we have to be, and again, just trying to have things in place so that we can be, successful and be safe, because
right.
You're going somewhere, where are you going to be, who are you going to be with, when you're going to come back, do you have the things you need, and that's it, just trying to make sure that we are, trying to have our hands on all the bases, for you.
Yeah, we did a lot of divide and conquer. We did a lot of everybody going and dropping off and picking back up. And we did a lot of when your siblings got older, they lifted some of the load for you and Z and our neighbor, like Howard said, our neighbor. I know many a morning Brian Hunter was at the picking you up, and I know Albert brought you home some days, and so thankful for an awesome village, extended family. There were some times when we had to be at the first part, and then your nana might have stayed to the end part. Or Auntie Jamie might have stayed to the end and brought you back. So I think we just been blessed to work well as a family. I think that's how we kind of trained you guys. Like even with the housework and the yard work, you guys, one person cutting the grass and somebody else is trimming, and somebody washing the dishes, somebody is drying them. We might not did too well on the cooking part. We got real good at picking up, driving through. We're trying to break that habit right now.
Okay, it's part
Can't
of the
win them
skill.
all.
Right.
Win them all.
Right. So last thing before we step into the last part, y'all probably do. I know I can remember times where, of course, we talked about I had to do a lot of leadership stuff. I had to do, be a lot of places. I had, school stuff, band stuff, concerts with multiple bands, and stuff at church as well. And I know, because you talked about like the prayer being not, things went well, not being too, taken advantage of and protected and all that. Is there a time, or is it something that you feel comfortable sharing where you did have to step up and kind of be a protector in the instance in certain environments where things started, you kind of see things starting to get a little out of hand, and kind of what was, what that was like?
A few times.
Yeah. I know. You want to go first?
I'll say, there was time, like saying, and you were in a marching band, and just wasn't happy with the way you were being treated or talked to. It was definitely, felt kind of one-sided, because you were obviously the premier drummer, and I know you had your heart set on, kind of being the section leader for the drum line. And it's like, okay, things happen. Though your freshman year, you start off playing the number 5 bass drum, and you go there, and it was like, okay, but you're really good on the snare, and there was like some disappointment there. And you came, we talked, and I kind of was like, you're a freshman, and I understand sometimes you may be better, but I also know, having, been in it and being out of benefit experience, sometimes who knows, what the director is looking at, because sometimes you do put your best horses on the field, or sometimes, it's kind of tough if you got a senior here who's been with you for 4 years, and then they still don't get a shot, and they're about to, this might be the last time you put a freshman out there. You got a whole another, 3 years to, do this. So it's like, okay, you take that, Then sophomore year, it was like something else happened. I think, was it 1 year something happened? I think the person had a broken arm. Like, it just didn't make sense.
Had paralyzed arm
or something. I was like, how are you the section leader of the drum line and you can't play the drums right now? It's like, what are we doing? And then you had, and then and there I was trying to help you cope, but then where I felt the need to step up was, person just really talked to you. It really was out of pocket with how they came to you. At the time, they basically asserted that they wanted to remind you that they had power over you, and you would do what they say if you wanted to get anywhere in this drum line. It was with them, and they were very, it was like threatening. And this is like a young adult talking to a child. It wasn't the band director, but I think they had some college students who were working with you or something like that. And so I was like, and you told me that, that's when we hit the daddy button. Like, okay, before I was like talking to you and just saying, hey, deal with it's okay, get them next time.
Right.
When that conversation had to have words with, that individual, because that was totally unacceptable, and had to let them know in no uncertain terms that, that was not going to be tolerated.
Yeah.
And the other place I say was in terms of your compensation. You know, you start getting to a place where you can pay. I just know that, you know, you love to play. You were, I think you were, you know, as a young person being asked to do some of these gigs or do some things, you know, in church is like, wow, they asked me to play. And you would just say yes to everything. And then you find out, oh, what is this? And then you find out you weren't getting your fair shake on things. Well, you know, you want me to do, you know, an adult size job, but because I'm a teenager, you want to give me, you know, pennies on the dollar. And it's like, no, you know, because what would you have paid, you know, so-and-so to do that, you know, then that's what he gets, you know, so we would step up on those kind of things.
And I could remember 2 instances as well. One was at your graduation.
Oh, man.
And these little children who had played the bells for 4 years were walking down with chords, band, you know, for band, you know, the band chords. And here you had the top pianists, high school pianists in the state of Illinois, and you didn't have any. And you know, Dad got up like right then in the middle of graduation and went to the band director and was like, excuse me, where is Justin Card? And he gave a lame excuse. He was like, have his chords ready in the morning. And you didn't get it. You were like, we graduated. What's this done now? No, sir. You know, this, you earned this. You earned this, you know. So you, because those schools get kicked back again, you not being used. Those schools get kickbacks from whether it be equipment discount or scholarship money or whatever when they win those awards. So now they've won awards, but you didn't get any recognition, you know. So that was an issue. And then one time you were on a band trip and, you know, so you had 2 services at church and I, you know, explained that you weren't going to be there at the first service because you know, y'all used to get back really late. And I was told that, oh, well, he just need to take some no-dos and let's keep it pushing. Oh, no, that's what we're not doing. Because no-dos turns into, you know, uppers and then that turns into something. That's not what, you know, you learning your capacity, you know, is important. Sometimes, you know, no is the right answer. You eat, whether you're in church or, you know, or not, just you have to know your capacity. And when you can't meet the expectation, the most responsible thing to do is just to let people know as early as possible, you know. And so that, I mean, it wasn't ugly, but it was like, he won't be here, like whatever you choose to do, you know, from there, this is when he will. Now, did you still want him at this time? You know, kind of thing. So I don't think we have had to be, you know us, we not, I mean, we are internal fighters, but we, you know, we're not going to, nothing extreme, just, you know, standing our grounds kind of thing.
Just being an advocate, just helping people, because like your mom said, people will, you know, people will go there, and again, that was something for you to learn around your worth, because your whole thing was, wow, they want me to play so-and-so, I'm getting to do cool, but, you know, pulling it all together around, you know, it doesn't make sense if you sitting here and there's 4 people in this band and, you know, you come with 3 envelopes.
Right. That's not math.
What just happened, you know, because you got up as early as everyone else, you had the sound check, you are playing the song, you know.
And if you weren't good,
if you weren't good, you wouldn't be there. So they're not doing you a favor, like you playing chopsticks and they say, oh, look at the baby. It's like, no, you are main keys. You are the guy, you know. You know, somebody's on bass guitar, somebody's on drums, somebody might be playing lead. If you are not there as the keyboardist,
something's missing.
So we're missing something. So you can't come out with 3 envelopes and say, oh, you know, good for him. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, I just think it's, you know, important people see that aspect, because it can, like you said, it's a bright gift, but, you know, things do happen. So, okay, so wrapping up, it's going to be kind of like a loaded question. So we step into college, and I know it was kind of some things up in the air where I was going to go, where it's going to be, you know, out of state, in state, you know. So we decided on, you know, SIU, and we go there. And that's kind of into where I guess I am now, kind of, you know, leaving there, starting, you know, Str8 Productions and doing things like that. So what was that experience like? I know it's
The transition from
Well-
high school to college.
I guess just the college years, because I guess transition from high school to college, it was a little more the same. Like I was still in New Life for a little bit, same regiments. I mean, I wasn't too much band stuff going on. I can really remember that was any more extreme than what had already been going on. So stepping into college and moving off campus, still still in New Antioch at the time, and like I said, it's college now, so we got stuff on a bigger scale. Still got homework, still got classes, and all of that. But I guess just from your perspective, watching those college years, and that's when the gigging lifestyle started. That's when on a more professional scale, than just going to play somebody else's service. So what was that like into starting? Into watching kind of straight up productions unfold, because that happened, right here before this happened. So
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
I would say first that our goal was for you to go to college for free. I definitely think you were talented enough to do that. I appreciate what support, and scholarships, and because the supporters were the supporters, like every year, in season, out of season. I think that was important. Again, I want to go back a little bit to when I said everything you touch will be blessed. It's like, I believe that you had the gifting, the discipline, and the intellect to go into pharmacy. So when we were looking for colleges, that's what I was looking for, something that had a music program and had a pharmacy program. So knowing my children's personality, I believe that you felt more secure closer to home than being so far away. Learning more about musicianship at historical Black colleges, it's something I didn't consider, I'll say like that. But I think you being the person that you are, you would have been okay. And I think that, again, the relationships that you made earlier in life made SIUE a good place for you. I think you do an amazing job managing the business of being a musician, whether it's practice. I can remember when you got into executing contracts. I can remember when you started researching and mastering the legal piece of business. I'm stuck on the accounting piece. You're like, did you get your money?
Right.
All right. Did you get all your money?
All of it.
Did you charge for your practice time? Did you charge for writing your music? Did you charge? So that was good to see you grow. Again, I think I had the same concern, balance. Are you eating okay? Are you are you doing something for fun? It's a lot of stuff to do fun in college. I think you made some tremendous friendships. I think you do a great job. You do a great job choosing to be around quality people. You accomplished the goal, graduated.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Right.
What else? There's one more thing. And you did it on time. That was the last thing. You probably the first person in a long time that went to school for 4 years and graduated. You tested out of so many things. You did an excellent job on that for sure. If you had a lot of struggles, you didn't share them with us. But so I'm not going to even ask, because I think college is a place for that transition. So I don't have a lot to say. You definitely there were some days where you put on the suit, but you weren't wearing the suit. So and sometimes that's college life. I get it. But you did it. You did it. You made us proud.
I say the initial, I think, reality hitting around us always wanting, just as parents, you got your kids on the path and you doing, your music and you love it and that's good. Like your mom said, you were fortunate to be good at a lot of things. And seeing music, and I'm gonna say, and don't know why, but didn't, I think, in our being practical, didn't see music as like a career. Say, of course he's gonna play because you've been doing it, from the womb on to, and he plays and you do your thing. But talking about how are you going to support yourself and what does this look like? And so you have been in this pharmacy prep program, best, St. Louis College of Pharmacy and all this, and we're saying, okay, so you can kind of weave these in and say, maybe you go here and you're gonna do the pharmacy thing, and then you take some music classes or whatever, stay sharp, and you'll continue to gig or you'll play or do that. And when you sat us down and had a conversation that you wanted to major in music, and that was like, whoa, that was like, what, so that really kind of hit us, and we had, some multiple deep conversations, on that, like, okay, help us understand. Okay, what does that look like? What does, okay, you graduate, you have this degree, and you can what with that?
Right.
And you kind of talking through, business model, and it's just really my passion. Some things you articulated well, some things you couldn't, but you just knew this is where you want and this is where you felt God was taking you. And we had to kind of fall back and talk to each other and say, we trusted God this far. We'll go, because even if it's something we didn't see, it's like, okay. And what sold it for me was the fact that, to go back to the other things we had, the gifting has always been there. There's talent, but, there's always people say, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. And you've always done the work hard piece. And for me, that was what gave me the solace to say, okay, we can let this thing go, because if it was somewhere I got to push you and pride you, and it's like, no, he's self-motivated, he's self-starting, he's, going for it, and you're already walking in it, you're already, your phone's ringing all the time, you're playing here, you're playing there. So, okay, I'm already seeing benefits, because we just had it in our mind, we didn't want you to be a starving artist.
Right.
And so to be able then to make that transition. So once we kind of got over that piece, like your mom said, you going to school and you doing the things and developing the relationships that you developed and getting that support from the jazz department, where they were both giving opportunities for you to go out and gig. Some professors were turning in their gigs saying, hey, I can't make this. You want to go there and play, or they, throwing scholarship money at you and things like that. It felt like that was, again, further, evidence of you learning, the ropes, not only of the playing aspect, but them sharing with, this is what happens on the tour, and this is what you need to look out for there. I felt like you got the benefit of a lot of, you were paying for college, but you got more than that. That wasn't the stuff in the books. These guys were really telling you stuff like, "Hey, this is the game.
This is the game.
Right.
This is the game."
This is the game.
These guys. I might have a PhD in guitar, but I am a road musician. I've traveled the world doing this. If you go on tour, you need to do this. You got to ask for X, Y, Z. I always make sure you do these things. It's like some of the coping skills with the lifestyle of a musician that you're not gonna find that in any textbook.
It's not happening.
Exactly.
Right.
But from that, I hope you also realize, like, don't get stuck on the one thing, because while they are, we know your what's your guitar teacher?
Rick.
That dude could sit on the corner and be just as happy and full, that as he is in that classroom. But in that classroom, you got a retirement. You gotta, you got some benefits. You got your health benefits, right?
And he was like the same way, as y'all were trying to make sure, there was balance, and you had practical. Like, his parents made him get an associate's degree in something else just in case, music didn't work. So, even with that, he could go and, fix stuff. He fixing amps and guitars for students and, all that kind of stuff. So that dude is he's next level for real.
Yeah. So still parenting. I say to you, don't, because you have a degree and because you starting this business and because you here, don't negate there. Don't stop, because the blessings of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. And just because it's levels. You should know that, if anybody, it's levels. You've been progressing through levels, ever since. So even if it's something that you didn't expect, don't close doors. Don't always just if it aligns with your gift and it aligns with how the Holy Spirit is leading you, go and look behind the door. If it's nothing you can do behind that door, just close it on back and go on to something else. But don't close doors, because I just believe that God has more. It's more. I mean, it's not that you haven't experienced, not that you're not on a good trajectory, but we haven't arrived yet.
Nah,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Last question. What would you say to, other parents who may be raising musicians?
Other parents, it's so many. That's
It is, right.
I would say, number one, to be willing to invest in the gift, because I know when I first started researching the piano lessons, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a lot." It wasn't a lot, but again, we balancing this against 3 other children, and at the beginning, it's not a lot. Maybe $20, $25, a week or whatever, a lesson. Then you got your books, but other parents might have more expensive investment, but it's worth the investment, right? And then I think, particularly African American parents, choose wisely. Choose wisely. Like, let's take off the tennis shoes and that they're gonna grow out of, and really invest into the person and the gift. So choose wisely. You don't have to start off with everything brand new. Talk to people. We're in a social society where you can say, hey, my kid is interested in a drum, and I'm just going to buy my kid a new drum set. You can have this, or you can have it at a discount. So, find a way to support the giftings that you see in your children. That would be one thing. And the second thing is, take time to observe your children, to identify the gifts that's within them, and if you're fortunate enough to be like us, where, we thought it was cool and we saw it there, but we had made really a whole lot of moves on it. We were fortunate enough to have another generation to say, hey, it's time to move on that. Be open to that. Sometimes the new millennial parents or younger parents is like, I read Dr. Einstein and I'm going to do, don't close off wisdom. Don't close out. You could take it and pray over it and digest it and still make your own decision. But those are the two things. Observe your children, give them space to be who they are, and then invest in what you see, and then be willing to make the sacrifices and, intelligent decisions to fund, the private lessons, the camps, the concerts sometimes, just to see how it looks on a big scale. And so your children can be all that God created them to be.
Ooh, awesome. Well, great talk. This was definitely interesting.
Did you learn a lot?
I learned a lot.
You did.
It's
Very good.
I think the parental aspect is important. A lot of people, we just talk to, musicians, but they don't necessarily, hear from the other side, that aspect of it. And, as I talked about in my last interview, just as a musician myself and being in the world, like some of the things that, y'all talked about, how, if you don't do it right, you can be a starving artist, and people seeing a lot of starving artists, they don't take the music world seriously, as we talked about, like, what do you do? I'm a musician. Okay, so what do you really do? What's your real, you hear a lot of that, and, people, they think it's important that people know that it can't work, you just gotta do it, because, it's a Dangerous. I ain't gonna say dangerous, but it's a
Take
game that requires a lot of hard work because it's really saturated. You know, a lot of people
Yeah.
want to be a drummer, producer, or whatever. So if you're gonna do it and be good, you're gonna have to, you know. And it's possible, but
Yeah.
it takes a lot. So cool. Well, until next time.
All right.
Until
Well, thank
next
you.
time, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
We
having us.
speak God's richest blessing on you, your household, and Straight Up Productions.
Thank you.
We are always your parents. We're always here to help you research, to give you ideas, strategies, and we can help you find some money.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all.
All right.
Be blessed, baby.
Thank you. Thank you.